Hello my friends, in today's video we will take a look at the best cameras between $1,000 and $2,000. Unlike in my video about the best cameras under $1,000, I'm happy to say that there is plenty of great options in this price category. We have some new cameras with modern features and some older higher-end cameras that fit into this price range after the price decrease. In this video we will take a look at 10 great cameras that you can get for less than $2,000. We will start with the two most capable cameras that you can get in this price range. Panasonic S5 II was supposed to gain full-frame market share for Panasonic by offering a very strong feature set at a competitive price point. And it was a successful attempt. It uses a 24-megapixel backside illuminated full-frame sensor. It offers great output in terms of detail, dynamic range, and low light, much like other cameras with this kind of setup. Importantly, it is the first Panasonic camera that uses face detection autofocus system. Fortunately, Panasonic was able to get it right on their first attempt, especially in video, where it is pretty much on par with Sony, which is the benchmark. The in-body image stabilization is one of the best on the market, including the walking performance. The S5 II is a heavily video-oriented DSLM. It can shoot great video up to 6K open-gate 3x2. It can also shoot 4K 10-bit 422 up to 30p with no crop and up to 60p with 1.5 times crop. A clever cooling system located in the EVF housing makes it very overheating resistant. Some very advanced features such as All Intra, ProRes and External RAW are reserved for the S5 IIX. Also worth mentioning is the handling, which is in my opinion the best in the class thanks to dedicated dry mode dial and focus mode switch. Overall, Panasonic S5 II is in my opinion the best full-frame camera under $2K and one of the best video cameras in the category. If you are willing to sacrifice full-frame sensor in order to get an excellent feature set, Fujifilm X-H2 will happily provide just that. X-H2 is Fujifilm's APS-C high-resolution flagship. It uses the new X-Trans 5 40-megapixel backside illuminated sensor combined with X-Processor 5. It takes very detailed 40-megapixel stills which offer plenty of detail and dynamic range. Especially if you pair it with the latest Fuji and Viltrox lenses made for this sensor, you will get outstanding output. The autofocus is actually very good in both stills and video, especially after the latest firmware update. The video autofocus in most extreme situations is still not perfect though. In-body image stabilization is very effective, especially at long focal lengths, which is the highlight of this system. The X-H2 offers some great video capabilities, including 8K video that it can shoot up to 30p in All Intra or even ProRes with some crazy bitrates if you wish to do so. It can also shoot very detailed 4K downsampled from 8K. The handling is very good. It offers plenty of control elements and even the top plate status LCD. 5.76 million EVF is the best that you can get under $2,000. The display is great as well and so is the battery life. Fujifilm X-H2 is the most capable APS-C camera that you can get under $2,000 and the most capable high-resolution crop sensor camera overall. Next up, we will take a look at two cameras that offer a great value under $1,500. Fujifilm X-S20 represents Fujifilm's new and very clever approach to repackaging components. It uses X-Trans 4 26.1 megapixel sensor, but it combines it with the latest X-Processor 5. It produces pretty much the same output as previous X-Trans 4 cameras, which is definitely not a bad thing. The new processor allows it to have much better autofocus, which is the best that we have seen from Fujifilm so far. The video capabilities that it offers are unprecedented in this price range, including open-gate 6.2K video up to 30p. It can also shoot 4K DCI in 10-bit 422 up to 360 megabits per second. 4K 60p comes with a 1.15 times crop. You can have all of that in a surprisingly small body that weighs just 491 grams, including a battery and SD card. The build quality is on par with Fujifilm's flagship cameras. X-S20 uses the same excellent 7 EV in-body image stabilization unit as the X-H2 for example, and the larger NPW235 battery, which is a big upgrade over the X-S10. Basically, the only two compromises are the lack of weather sealing and small and relatively poor EVF. Fortunately, 1.84 million dot screen largely compensates for that. The X-S20 offers a very solid output and probably the best feature set at this price point, which makes it very tough to beat. If you want a full-frame camera under $1,500, you can have the legendary Sony A7 III. Despite being a couple of years old, it still provides very impressive full-frame output that is on par with the newer 24-megapixel full-frame BSI cameras. Dynamic range and the low-light performance of the A7 III still hasn't been beaten. Despite what the old mantras say, the colors from the A7 III are some of the most accurate of its generation. It doesn't have the latest smart autofocus features, but the performance itself in terms of the speed and accuracy is still up there with the latest systems. You just need to select the correct area mode. The video specifications are pretty basic by 2023 standards. It shoots 4K up to 25p with no crop, which was a big breakthrough at the time, in 8-bit 422. If you use video out of the camera, the A7 III will still provide very nice footage. If you want to color grade or use log profiles, you might want to get something with 10-bit capabilities instead. The in-body image stabilization is not the best that you can get, but it is still very useful and sufficient at least for static shots up to about 70mm. Probably the biggest weakness of the A7 III is the display. The resolution is quite poor, it is 4:3, which means that it wastes a lot of space in video and it is not very color accurate. The only good thing about it is the brightness. EVF is sufficiently large, but the resolution is not great. On the other hand, the battery life is still among the best on the market. Also worth mentioning is that it is still one of the smallest full-frame cameras on the market and the handling is very solid. Sony A7 III is still a very capable camera for a lot of tasks. I occasionally use it myself and I can recommend it at its current price point. Thanks to the X-H2, Fujifilm was able to move the X-T5 to the upper mid-range, and I think that this is a better place for the X-T line. It uses the same X-Trans 5, X-Processor 5 combination as the X-H2 and the output is also the same. As usually, it packs Fujifilm's latest technology in a vintage-style body with dedicated exposure dials. It is actually noticeably smaller than the X-T4 and I greatly appreciate the comeback of the tilting screen, which is in my opinion the correct choice for the X-T line. It also uses the in-body image stabilization unit with 7 EV rating as the X-H2. One area where Fujifilm saved some money is the buffer, which is quite poor. The video specs are also a bit limited in comparison to the X-H2. It can shoot 4K with no crop, but not with full downsampling. It can also shoot fully downsampled HQ video, but with 1.15 times crop. 10-bit 422 and slightly cropped 4K 60p are still available though. The video is completely fine for hybrid use, but the X-H2 is definitely a much better choice for filmmakers. The screen is excellent and 3.69 million dot EVF is completely fine as well. The combination of the 5th generation internals and X-T body style simply works. It provides great output and enjoyment in one camera, and that is in my opinion the main purpose of the X-T line. Nikon Z6 II didn't seem to be a major improvement over the original Z6, but multiple smaller improvements make a big difference overall. First of all, color bending issues that I've experienced with the original Z6 are gone. The still's image quality is now on par with Sony A7 III and Panasonic S5, which is how it is supposed to be. The autofocus is also significantly better. The video specs are a bit underwhelming though. It can only shoot 10-bit video or log externally, which is a bit of a disappointment from a full-frame camera released in late 2020. My biggest complaint about the Z6 II is actually the handling. Only 2 dials and 6 customizable buttons are simply not enough in my opinion. I also don't like those 4 small buttons cramped in the bottom right corner. Some UI quirks are also pretty annoying. The battery life is rated for 410 shots, which is well below the average. On the other hand, the 3.2-inch 2.1 million dot display is excellent. It is a good camera overall, but it is a bit of defensive move in my opinion. It seems that Nikon was trying to match the A7 III capabilities and prevent current Nikon users from switching brands rather than offer something to compete with the A7 IV. The price is really good though, so it is a solid choice for Nikon users. The Panasonic S5 II is a bit of a specific case. It has some huge strengths when it comes to video, but some cost-saving measures are also evident. It uses a 24 megapixel backside illuminated full-frame sensor, so it offers very solid image quality in terms of detail, dynamic range, and ISO. It uses DFD autofocus, which got a bit better with firmware updates, and it will work fine in easier situations. In more difficult situations, it is far behind the S5 II with face detection autofocus. The in-body image stabilization is quite solid, but not on the S5 II level. On the other hand, the video specifications are fantastic. It can shoot 4K DCI 10-bit 422 and it can also output 5.9K 12-bit RAW externally. The handling is great, similar to the S5 II, and the display is also excellent. Electronic viewfinder is below average with 2.36 million dots. The reason why I struggle to recommend the S5 is that the S5 II is in my opinion well worth the extra money and it actually offers much better value. If you really have to save the money, you will still get the best full-frame video capabilities around that price point. Sony A7C is a very interesting spin-off of the A7 III. In terms of the product philosophy, it is one of my favorite cameras on the market. Sony has basically packed the A7 III internals into the camera body, which is as small as possible. The output from the A7C is basically identical to the A7 III, which is a good thing. The packaging of the A7C is pretty incredible. The size of this camera is rather shocking. It also got some nice upgrades over the A7 III, such as the new autofocus software including touch tracking and real-time IAF, gyro data capture, or unlimited video recording. The compromises necessary to achieve this size are in my opinion very acceptable. The viewfinder is quite poor and to be honest I would leave it out altogether. There is also only one SD card slot, which is also acceptable for intended purposes. On the other hand, Sony still managed to retain the in-body image stabilization, which is very solid considering the body size. A7C has a rotating screen, which I don't mind in this specific case. If you pair the A7C with some small primes, such as 20mm f1.8 or 35mm f1.8, you will get a great travel or street photography combination. The first bonus camera is Sony A7R III A. The reason why it is a bonus entry is that you have to be a bit lucky to find it under $2,000. It is possibly the best high-resolution full-frame camera that you can possibly get in this price range. If you primarily shoot landscapes or portraits, it is still a great option. The A7R III also got the A upgrade with 2.36 million dot screen and USB-C 3.2. 42 megapixel output from the A7R III is still excellent even by 2023 standards, and it will stay excellent for many years to come. There are some aspects of the A7R III that feel a little bit outdated after the A7 IV release, but there aren't actually that many of them since the EVF and especially the new screen are very up to date. The video capabilities are okay, it shoots no crop 4K, but there are much better video cameras in this price range. If you primarily care about the still's image quality, the A7R III A is probably the best choice as long as you can find it within the price range. Bonus camera number 2 is Fujifilm X100V. The reason why this one is a bonus entry is that it is incredibly difficult to get due to some social media hype around it. It is a fixed lens camera with 35mm full-frame equivalent lens. It uses the same internals as other 4th generation Fujifilm cameras. It has a more vintage feel to it, and for me personally, even more of that Fuji factor. The lens is also very decent, it has bright f2 aperture and pretty good optical qualities. One more thing that makes it special is hybrid optical and electronic viewfinder. I actually like to use the optical viewfinder a lot. With a fixed lens, it is less versatile than interchangeable lens cameras. Despite that it is mainly a stills camera, it still has full XS10 video specifications, so it shoots great 4K. The autofocus is also very solid. If I go on a trip or holiday without the need to use any photography equipment, Fujifilm X100V is actually my first choice for personal usage. So these were, in my opinion, the best cameras that you can get between $1,000 and $2,000 in the middle of 2023. I think that the selection is great at the moment. You can choose among at least 10 very complete and capable cameras with various strengths. I hope that this video will be useful if you are in a market for a camera in this price range and that it will help you make the right choice. So that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I hope that you liked this video and that you have found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share your opinion, please do so in the comment section and see you next time.